This is part one of a multi-part series called Disarming Leverage or Bullying a Bully. We're starting going back to September 2022. Jackie filed for divorce. My dad's birthday, it was on the steps of my middle school in Manhattan. And from September of 2022 to July of 2023, there was no determination made on child support. The court made a determination in July of 2022 that I had to pay roughly $2,200 per month in child support based on my salary and Jackie's salary. With that, since there was no child support paid from September 2022 to July 2023, I had to pay what was called retro child support, basically $2,200 roughly every month in that span. I didn't have to pay it in a lump sum. It was paid $1,000 additional per month until the retro child support was paid off. That came out. Child support was paid off. That came out to roughly $3,200 per month that I paid in child support until the retro was finished being paid off, and then I continued with $2,200 per month. All that money was paid via Zelle, Apple Pay, PayPal. It was all documented on our family wizard and text messages. I had all of that documented. All of the money was paid. Fast forward to April 2024, a month before we were supposed to go to trial for the divorce, and in a move of leverage and posturing, opposing counsel stated that I was in default of my child support and that I did not pay it, which was not true. At the time, there was a lot going on, so what I had to do is I had to find all of the receipts for all of the months in those years that I had to pay child support and present it to the court. Jackie received the money was in her accounts, but it was up to me to be able to prove that I paid all of that child support. I found every receipt but one. There was one receipt, a $500 Zelle receipt, that I found a day later. I sent it over to my attorney. I said, hey, there was one missing receipt. It was for this $500. Sending it over to you now. By that time, the documents and reply had to be submitted to the court. So basically, I was a day late and missing $500. Even though I wasn't missing it, I was just missing the receipt for it. Due to me not having that $500 receipt in on time, I got put in what's called automatic withholding. So really what's going on is opposing counsel is trying to paint me as a deadbeat, trying to say I don't pay my child support, and to make me look bad in the court's eyes. It's what they like to call character assassination. So I get put on automatic withholding. I have no clue who set it up. I don't know if it was my attorneys, opposing counsel, but all I know is that child support now is just being automatically withdrawn from my payroll check from school, from teaching. So just to give you an idea of what this was like, when I was paying $3,200 a month with the retro child support, I basically was taking home per month $300 to live off of. That's it, $300, and then that's before transportation costs, that's before any rent or lease. At that time, I was forced, after we sold our condo, to move back in with my parents for a few months. But either way, $300 no one can survive upon. And the way that it's written up for court, and the way the court sees it is you're not supposed to be put in a situation where you can't survive in, right? They're not supposed to be living off $300 a month, right? That's supposed to be, there should have been some type of rectification or amendment there, but there wasn't, because this is how the court works. And they say, this is, no way or impossible to live upon on paper, but when it actually comes down to it, no one really cares and nothing gets changed. And I had to survive on $300 a month. So regardless, the automatic withholding takes place, and that starts kicking April of 2024. In mid-May of 2024, we settle on the divorce. At that time, another amendment is done to my income, an income modification, and it is found that I have to pay an additional $300+ a month. So now my monthly child support is roughly $2,500 a month, which is a whole nother story when it comes down to me and Jackie. Our entire marriage and years leading up to it made roughly the same amount of money per year, but the way it was being demonstrated or presented to the court was that I was making roughly $130,000 per year, and she was making $60,000 per year. I don't know where the other, basically 30 or 40,000 that got taken off of her salary got added onto mine. Anyway, so now I'm paying $2,500 a month in child support. It just gets pulled from my check. I have no idea what's, it just, all I know is that it's pulled from my check, and that's it. There was no amendment changed to my account with payroll deductions and withholding to reflect that $300+ increase that happened at the signing of our divorce agreement. Fast forward, we're in court for presenting joy fighting the book, and opposing counsel mentions that I owe $6,000 or $7,000 in child support, which I say is that's ridiculous. What are you talking about? It gets pulled out of my paycheck every single month. You guys set it up. And no, so there was no change to that made. And I asked opposing counsel, I said, when did you learn of this error, right? Because immediately my mind goes to that opposing counsel knew about this for quite some time. And in typical fashion, what Dave Mejias likes to do is he likes to use financial leverage on people. He wants to get them owing his firm money, paying for legal fees, basically, putting the stress on a person of financial strain. And I'm sure that works for him quite often. For me, it doesn't work because they took all my money, right? I got nothing in the selling of a $1.4 million Dumbo condo. So I don't really care about that, right? I owed his fees at, $1.20 something thousand, and they bring me into court on contempt and file sanctions at $10,000 and $5,000 a clip all the time, and I'm unfazed by it. So either way, this is typically what they do, though, right? So he wants to try to hold it over my head, and he snaps back at me and goes, "It doesn't matter when I knew about it," which indicates to me that I struck a nerve with Mr. Mejias, because he doesn't like that I figure out all his little schemes all the time, and that bothers him because he's the smartest and the greatest. He has said himself, he has said to me that he is the best attorney there is, the best, with a lot of ease on it, best. So what he's trying to do, and he told me in court, pay your child support like I'm some deadbeat. All right, well, listen, I had no money and I was paying my child support. I was paying $3,200 a month of child support on a teacher's salary, taking home $300 trying to figure out how to survive. So yeah, I do pay my child support. All right, and if you want, you can try to paint me as a deadbeat, but I'm paying, at times $3,200 a month to the person I'm paying it to is driving an Audi A4, living rent-free in a 60,000 square foot North Shore mansion. So I don't think it's a situation where my kids aren't eating. Regardless, I still pay my child support. But this is the character assassination, and this is one of the plays from the Dave Mejias playbook of trying to ruin a person. Like, they tried to ruin me, my reputation of, I was a cocaine and heroin addict, and then when that didn't stick, I was smoking weed, and I had problems with alcohol, and then when that didn't stick, it was, I don't know. So it just goes on and on, right? It's the character assassination. It's trying to paint me as something I'm not. But I bring this up, and this is important because opposing counsel, they think that I won't talk about this child support issue, right? Because they're going to say, oh, he won't say anything about it because he doesn't want people to see him as someone that owes child support and he's a deadbeat, and where they kind of overlook me and how I approach the world is that I'm going to be fully transparent about everything. I'm not going to try to hide from anything. So everything I just mentioned, right, all of this child support information, this will be coming up in a Substack story with all of the evidence, all of the emails, all of the receipts of my child support that will be presented, just to provide full transparency so that there's no questions about anything. And in part 2 of this video series of how to unarm leverage and how to bully a bully, I will speak more in depth about why this is important in terms of their strategy and approach moving forward, their approach to litigation and hiding their conflict of interest that is going on and has been going on between David Lionel Mejias and my ex-wife Jackie Moran.